The idea that you're potentially punching people in the face and like tackling and getting thrown around with some shit in your nappy. Bad boy. Like grow the fuck up and go to the loo.
Yeah, I agree.
Good boys.
Hey, Kylo.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know it started. Yeah, I'm ready.
I just figured. I really like these blue jeans you're wearing.
You do?
It's like the most classic pair of blue jeans that I cannot find, and I think it's just because of my sizing.
I have somewhere for you to go. I think it's a guy's name. Is it called Joe's or Ed's or something? I'm going to find it for you.
Ed Hardy?
No. It's like this workman's store by 14th Street. Okay. And all the Levi's and all the Carhartt pants and all the... what's the other one?
Dickies?
Dickies.
Yeah.
They're all like $40.
Oh, nice.
But they're just like the classic. So you're not going to find anything spicy in there, but like this is where I got these.
Like the slim fit and stuff, I just realized like I just can't, I need the regular like men's straight leg.
100%. You'll get them from there, $40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love a workman's thing. I just gave away like, I would say like 20 pairs of pants to my friend. Yeah.
They don't fit you?
Yeah, they don't fit me because I had mentioned how I've gone up sizes in like, I'm like now like a 35 waist when I was like traditionally a 32, and I had like just like kept them on a different shelf in my closet to be like if I'm a 32 again, and I've kind of just come to the point where like no matter even like with weight or anything, just like with my bodily makeup, I'm never going to be a 32 again unless something drastic happens.
Your whole shape's changed.
Yeah, and so I've just given them to like a friend, but it's like it's like a bunch of like thrifted Carhartt, Levi, Dickies, like some good stuff. So I was like, and my friend happens to be a 32 waist, so I just give her my stuff whenever I'm done with it.
So sweet of you.
Yeah, you would think that that's my good boy.
I was going to say, it's like...
That's just, I think, being a good friend, because I'm like... and then we dropped off a bunch of stuff at Goodwill, but I'm like, I'd rather give this to someone
that you know
who could use
100%.
it.
By the way, welcome to Good Boys.
Welcome to Good Boys.
We're talking about good boy work pants.
I was so distracted by your pants, I wanted to get right into it.
Totally.
But...
So tell me if it's... I mean, that sounds pretty good boy, but if that's not your good boy of the week, let me know.
I had a good boy that I was really excited because I think it ties into what we've discussed before, which is that I have finally signed up for a gym, like an actual gym membership.
Because you were using the one in your building, right?
Yeah, I used the one in my building, and I have now... Guys, I am speaking to the camera when I say this. Dumbbell pressing 25, like 15 reps of 25.
25?
Sorry, 3 sets of 15 reps.
Okay.
Of 25-pound dumbbells, which is like, you know, kind of equivalent to like a 50
100%.
bench press. And that's as high as my weights go in my gym. And my trainer was like, you need to get out of there. But I was having a really hard time of like justifying paying for my virtual trainer, which is kind of like a non-negotiable for me. And then paying for, because on the Upper East Side where I live, it's like, I went to the cheapest place and it's $80 a month. Yeah. Or $90 a month. And that's the cheapest possible option because there's no Blink and there's no Planet Fitness by me. But so on Saturday, I finished my morning workout and I was like, I'm trying to get serious about this shit. And so I walked my ass up. It's like 2 blocks and 2 avenues away. So it's not so bad. I can get some cardio in on my way.
Great.
I did like a little tour. What was cool was the guy that gave me the little tour was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And like the men's locker room has the sauna. If you bring a guest... if you bring a guest and she's a girl, the girl's room has a steam room, and I'm like, I'm a boy. And so like this, like the gym guy whose like job is to show you around and try to get you to get a membership was clocked and was like, man. Perfect. And was like, hey, we got a sauna for you.
Also challenge, why sauna in men's and steam in
I don't know.
Women's?
I did kind of flag that when it happened, but I wasn't sure.
I feel like that's unfair because the steam feels superficial to me and the sauna feels like deep. You know,
I'm afraid of
intense.
the sauna.
Really?
I just feel like I'm so weak in my hydration. I always feel like if I'm in something that's a little too hot, I'm gonna pass out.
Understood.
But I think it would be fun to go in there and like test my comfort levels, like, you know, having my scars out and
being
in the sauna.
I love the sauna.
Yeah,
it feels amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe I down a lot of water, but it feels amazing. And to have your chest out and you're like sweating and there's like loads of dudes in there, it's like very homoerotic.
Is it, what's like the, because you do like the bathhouses and stuff sometimes,
Yeah.
right? Like what is it, you do your workout and then you do the sauna? Is that supposed to have some kind of like health benefits, or do you do the sauna on its own?
I try and separate these things out because the sauna actually puts a lot of, look, I should caveat all this stuff. I am not a trainer. I'm not a trainer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a health, I just know what's good for my body. So just let's caveat with that.
I'll Google after just
Thank
to
you.
confirm.
But for me, I try and separate them out because actually the sauna, the reason it's so good for you is because it actually strains just slightly your body a little bit. So it like increases your heart rate. It basically, my understanding is that, it gets all the toxins out of your body, which is great. Okay. But also it's almost like a mini little workout. You know what I mean? So I try not to, it's a bit too tough on me to do like a weight session or a cardio session, then do the sauna. Then I just feel like I'm always fucked up. So I try and do it like on a separate
So maybe that's like my weekend morning.
Exactly.
Like if I was drinking or something.
For me, it's like it's like a spa day.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a treat.
Feels crazy to go up to the gym to go in without also getting a workout in. But you know what I could do? Because I keep trying to think of all the perks because they have like yoga classes and stuff.
Great.
Like Saturday mornings and whatever.
Well, that would be perfect. A little yoga class.
Yeah.
Sauna.
Because not to say that yoga's not training, because it is, but it's a little less than doing a powerlifting hour.
Absolutely.
And then the last bit of my good boy is that the way that I've budgeted for this, because it's 90, I'm gonna stop buying weed. Because I think I spend about $90 a month on weed.
Interesting.
Like conservatively, because if I think about when I buy, it's about like $45, and I probably go twice a month to re-up.
Okay.
And so I haven't smoked weed. I haven't had weed since since the beginning of norovirus. So 8 days I have not had weed in the house.
Okay. And how do you feel?
I smoked on the Super Bowl my friend's weed. I feel great. I think it's just time.
Yeah.
I'm telling myself this. And then that way when I smoke, it's like a treat, like after a show or like at a friend's house, like that's like a special occasion. That's a treat, which is how I've been doing my drinking for the past 2 years, is like, it's a treat. I don't keep it in the house. I don't do it at home, but like on a special occasion.
Yeah. I remember last season you were talking that you sort of wanted to cut down, but it was good for your anxiety and makes you relax and stuff like that. So are you feeling a little more anxious?
I'm not feeling more anxious because I've also for about a month now I started taking my Wellbutrin again, which is like my like antidepressant, which isn't like totally like concretely an anti-anxiety medication, but it is for me.
Okay.
It's also like kind of like a miniature Adderall because it like stimulates you also.
Oh, interesting.
It's an interesting drug because it's not a typical SSRI like a Xanax or Lexapro or something. It's a smoke cessation drug. People take it to like stop smoking cigarettes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that because does it reduce the addictive part of your brain? Do you feel that in any way? You're not very addictive, are you?
I'm addictive with like certain things. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, but yes, I talked about this a couple months ago on the pod, and the other thing is I found myself getting anxious while I'm high. And I'm like, well, what the fuck is the point of this then? Yeah. And so, which everyone says, like, as you get older.
P.S. That happens. I don't smoke weed, and that's the reason. Not because I'm a saint, but because when I smoke it, I feel incredibly paranoid and anxious. Yeah. Like, it doesn't hit well. I've never understood people that are like, I'm going to relax with this. I'm like, it feels crazy to me.
For me, it's the habit of, like, I close my I'm done with work for the day, close my laptop. It's the hand fixation and the oral fixation of like grinding up weed, rolling up a joint, bringing it to mouth. It's this comfort thing. But then when I'm actually high, I'm like, I'm a little uneasy. Huh. So anyway, so this is how I've like, okay, if I'm going to spend $90 a month,
this is where I'm going to make it up.
Yeah, this is where I'm going to make up for it. Also, I'm just trying to cut down on other frivolous purchases as well. But that's my... So
that is good.
That's
boy.
My good boy.
That is good boy. It feels like health
and
conscious.
Big boy. It feels
right.
Yeah.
Health conscious with the jet, and then also just super sensible.
Like discipline. I'm trying to practice some discipline. Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
We'll follow how it goes. I feel like at a certain point you're not even gonna think about it.
Yeah, well, the other thing is I'm like, okay, if I'm spending $90 a month on it, like I'm gonna go, like I think I'm gonna up my gym days from 3 to 5, like, and try to do these classes. They even have some dance classes, and I was like, I wouldn't hate doing that. Like
100%. I'm not laughing. I feel like I've seen you dance. I feel like you're a great dancer.
I do a lot of arms and shoulders.
Yeah.
But I don't have, I mean, come on. I don't have any rhythm or anything.
Well, I just think dance classes, like, so we're getting off track here, but I think dance classes are good because in my experience, they get you into your, like, body and your hip. I feel like confidence. And I feel like also, look, I'm not going to speak on every trans guy, but for me, I feel like the hip movement has like reduced a little bit since I've like transitioned and trying to be more masculine traditionally and all those things. I'm like, well, that means I don't move my hips in such a vigorous way. Yeah. And then when you go through a dance class and you have to do that, I feel like it really gets you into your body.
Yeah. I just think that it could be fun and a good source of cardio.
Great.
Much prefer that than the treadmill. Anyway, enough about me. Kylo, have you been a good boy?
I've been a good boy. I feel like I have been working very hard lately. And so that's good boy in itself. But I've been doing a bit of traveling for work. And I think my good boy for this week is that I sat with a lesbian couple who are friends. Mm-hmm. And they were asking me about, do you ever find that like with your friends or with people that are not trans, they sort of utilize you as this very safe experience to ask these questions to?
Totally.
And I feel like it feels good boy to be super vulnerable and open with them because, I mean, I don't know, the more we can bridge that gap of misinformation and understanding of our experience. So I feel like I spend a lot of time sat with my friends talking about, they were asking me super, I would say vulnerable, but direct and honest questions around my experience. And I was very open about that.
But they were respectful about it.
100%. Very respectful. But also I find that they were respectful, absolutely. And I think that like I was giving a lot of leeway and a lot of openness and, speak frankly and I won't be offended energy. Yeah. And I felt like that was good boy because I want to more and more normalize our experience, at least from my perspective and what I can like, give. So that felt good boy.
Did you plug the podcast? Were you like listening to Good Boys?
I was like, I'm not going to say anything here, but if you go into Spotify quickly.
You like tell them for like 5 minutes and you're like, and if you want to hear the rest.
Yeah. I'm like, the rest is paywalled. Yeah. So yeah, I did that. And that felt good. I also feel like, I mean, maybe we can talk a bit about it, but like my friendships are quickly evolving. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, does it make you feel closer to them?
It does, you know. And it makes me just feel less different, which I think, when I think about my day-to-day experience, if I'm being super selfish about it, I am different, of course. We are different. We're all unique. But I want to feel less different. Mm-hmm. I don't want to feel like I have a friend and because they're not trans or because they're not queer, we can't find like real intimate, authentic common ground, And I feel like the more... And this podcast is a part of it, right? Mm-hmm. Like the more people hear us talking about it, I think the more comfortable they feel speaking about it. And then you get closer and closer to these, to different communities. And that's been really great.
Yeah. Do you find that they, like, for instance, this lesbian couple friend or any of the ones you do you find there's like a reciprocity? Do you think that they then feel the need to kind of share something vulnerable about themselves? Or is it kind of like a one-way street?
I feel like... Look, from my experience, I feel like that's human behavior. That's why I try my best to like be as vulnerable as possible while being safe, and not oversharing, but be as vulnerable as possible because then it makes the other person feel like they can do it. Do you find that?
I think so. Like, I think that, well, one, I think there's probably an assumed emotional intelligence of trans people just like naturally because of what we have to go through and like the hoops we have to jump through and things like that. So there's this like... And sometimes that's correct, and I'm sure sometimes that I know plenty of emotionally unintelligent trans people, and just the same as I cis people. But I do think that, and sometimes I wonder, like, there's the back of my head of like, is it because they're like, this is a girl or a raised and socialized girl, and therefore there's that emotional. Does this make sense? Where it's like, how
Totally.
much is it? Yeah. So
It's like there's it's like you're going to understand my question, you're going to understand my perspective because you were a girl.
Yeah.
Like a question I got asked recently was, am I feeling more empathy for cis men? No, which is interesting question, right?
I do a little bit.
I know. So I know I was talking about that, and I thought, what's interesting, because this is a cis straight woman asking me. I think the question comes from them wanting more empathy themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like they're trying to really understand, and then there's a disconnect, especially in my straight friends, between them and like their experience of their husbands or boyfriends or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's funny to me, or interesting and great maybe, that they're like, oh, this trans guy is going to give me insight into my like cis boyfriend. You know what I mean? From that perspective. And look, I definitely am empathetic in some ways and not in others too.
Yeah.
You know, it's made me
For
more
sure.
it's made me more empathetic in some ways. I'm like way more like, don't be a dick in other ways. You know, I'm like, you're just being a dick, you know.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
The empathetic stuff of like, some of the things that are just assumed of you because you're the masculine one, of like a certain type of like, even like household things or like social things with friends of like, like you're the guy, like you have to go and do this task for me or like whatever, which like,
Totally.
I like doing that because also, but I do think that's the lesbian in me and not the man in me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But of like that stuff. And then, I mean, we talked about it the last time we recorded, but I'm just like, so much emphasis on the beauty standards and everything, which is fair. It is mostly 90% on women in society, and they are targeted, and it's hell. It's not non-existent for men.
No, totally.
And I think there's a lot of like social movements and conversations that try to highlight that, but it definitely does take, like a secondary seat to that, which I think, maybe it should, just because of how disproportionate it is. But I'm just like, oh my God, like so many men have like we talked about, like eating disorders and stuff like that. And like men are sexually harassed and sexually assaulted,
right.
Like all this stuff. And so I think that's where my like empathy comes from.
Totally.
Of just like, oh, I'm not free from this just because now I'm boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've found, I have to be careful here, but I've found that some predominantly straight women, but I would just say also women, I've found that the more masculine I get, there's this like little, I don't want to say manipulation because it feels too harsh, but it's like this thing of, I want you to like lift that box for me. So I'm going to bat my eyelashes at you and be like, Kylo, I can't lift this box. And it's funny to me because I want to be like, do you think that like, now that I'm a man, I'm going to be so enamored by your eyelashes and your body and what you're giving to me that I'm just going to sprint over and I'm just going to like lift this box above my head and I'm going to sprint, you know what I mean? Like I will, as a person, I will help you carry that box 100%, but I'd also help you carry the box. I'd help anyone carry the box, And that was funny to me because I'm starting to feel that where I'm like used? Well, I get, maybe that's too strong of a word, but do you know what I'm saying? Have you had that?
It's the assumption of it all, I guess.
Totally. And it's the thing, and I've noticed women do it to some women, some straight women do it to some men, which is like, I'm going to use my beauty, which like, maybe we can't blame them because the whole of society has been like, this is your value in society, but it's kind of like, I'm going to use my like sexuality to make you do a task for me. Yeah. When they could just look them in the eye and say, hey, can you give me a hand with this box? And I'd be like, totally. I'd be like, totally, I'll give you a hand with it. Because also there's a strength thing.
Yeah. It's kind of... Cancel me. It's kind of the flip side of weaponized incompetence, because men are fucking doing that.
Totally. And, by the way, I do that,
and they are the number one perpetrators of this. Right. Where they're like, I can't boil pasta, so I'm not going to do it.
Totally.
But there is a flip side of this, of just like,
I can't lift it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I saw this meme
just
of this.
Totally.
I saw this meme of this woman, and it was like. When my husband is out, and it was her just like carrying on all these boxes, like not giving a fuck, and then when he's in, she's just like lying on the floor, like I can't do it.
I love it. I mean, and like I respect it in a way, because it's like, you deserve a break, girl.
100%. And by the way, it affirms me to carry the. By the way, I'm also complaining about something that I like it. Please give me a task. The the coat rack fell down the other day. I want
Yeah.
to put that up.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. It makes me feel good, you know,
Yeah.
and useful.
Break
And
out
I
your
am shit at
tools.
boiling pasta. I
Yeah.
can do it though, but I'm shit at it, you know. And so
Boiling
maybe not the
pasta?
pasta, but that's easy. But
Yeah.
you know, I can't cook, and it is funny. Anyway, we won't get into it, but I think that when your partner's really good at something and you're less good at it,
Yeah.
that becomes a thing. That's a relationship dynamic thing, I think, where
Don't I know it?
you start being like, oh, I can't do that. Like, that's an M job, right?
Yeah.
And
Me and Britt do this a lot.
I promised, me and Em had a conversation about it the other day, because I was like, no, like, one, I don't want to be an 80-year-old man that's completely incompetent because you've been doing all that. Like, it's ridiculous. And we're going to have kids. I want to be able to cook for them. And before I was with you, I did survive, you know?
Yeah. This is what Britt says this all the time, because I do something better or more efficiently or just more frequently.
Right.
She'll be like with the cleaning in the house. She'll be like, you know, I lived on my own without you living here, and I was
Right.
like, okay, and was it gross? Because she's like, I don't need to clean as frequently as you
Right.
feel the need to clean.
Totally.
I'm cleaning every other day. I really like to clean, and I just notice more. Like, I'll notice
Totally.
a thing of dust and like whatever.
And this is you are more aligned to Em with that. Like,
Yeah.
I like a clean place, but I won't notice. She just will go mad at me because I'll walk past a thing, right? And she's like, how did you not see that thing? And I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
But you know.
I'm just like, oh, that dish. And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so with your newfound like empathy for men, I'm curious how it is compared to, for me, how is that affecting your friendship with men? Cis men in particular, I guess.
Well, listen, I feel like my cis male friends treat me differently from like butch lesbian to trans guy. In butch lesbian zone, they were like, we like the same stuff. So there is some common ground here, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna like treat you like, you know, we're gonna talk about women, but we're gonna talk about it in a specific way. Whereas I feel like now I'm a trans guy, there's this open view into like how men chat to each other about what there is complete, like the boundary of it has gone completely down. I don't know if you
Yeah.
found this, and now it's like, yo, you know, I fucked this girl like last night, and this happened and this happened and this happened. It's quite jarring to me. I'm like, oh wow, okay, so this is how we're like
Yeah.
this is how we're talking about women now in this way.
Yeah.
And so I found that a little bit, that it's made me less empathetic, where I'm like, hey, because I'm identifying as a guy, please don't assume that that means I have zero respect for women and I
Yeah.
want to speak about women in this way, because actually I don't. You know what I mean? And
you're
it's
like,
not.
as a lifelong or like a majority long lesbian, you've been fucking women and you've managed to not bring
Exactly.
it into brunch conversation.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but now it's like, oh, just there's almost a simplicity to it, or this, and I don't think it's a mean thing. I think it's that I wondered when I watched the behaviors of my cis guy friends talking to each other, if it's almost a lack of vulnerability. It's much harder, isn't it, to say like, hey, oh, I went on a date with this girl last night, actually I really liked her, or actually I didn't like her so much, or this
Yeah.
happened, or that's way more vulnerable than being like, I fucked this girl last night and like whatever.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
And I thought how interesting that I've gone from having more vulnerability in my relationships to less.
Yeah.
Like, that feels not right, you know.
Yeah. Interesting.
Have you had that?
A little bit. I haven't had the experience where like I'm with cis guys and they're like talking about who they're fucking, but I honestly think it's because my social circle, being in like the comedy community, it's a bunch of like, and I mean this with my whole heart, like it's not like a bunch of like, and not to say that this is your crew, but like it's not tech bros or like these guys who are like trying to like out alpha each other. Like kind of the essence of being a stand-up comedian is you have to be kind of a little bit of a fucking weirdo and
Sure. Yeah.
marginalized in one way. Even if you are a white man, maybe you're like a weird looking white man, or you
Yeah.
have never been able to put on that muscle, or you're short, or like something. And so I just don't find that even with like the hottest of my guy friends, they kind of don't have much to say in that regard. And we bond, it's never over like, I think the last time I had a conversation with some like cis guys was like after a comedy show. Sorry, the last time like in a group setting where like they're not my besties, but they're just guys I know. We were talking about women, but it was more so I was talking about how like we were talking about how our girlfriends snore, like, and like
Okay.
what we're doing to deal with it. Like one guy was like, "Oh, you got to check out. I have these really good earplug." Like that's
Right, okay.
the extent of how we were talking about women. And I haven't run into it yet. So I don't know. For instance, I was at a Super Bowl party at a friend's house who's a couple, a guy and a girl, and there were guys there who watch football every time it's on TV and like know every single thing. And there were cis guys there who were like, what does that mean? What does that penalty mean?
Great.
And so like, I didn't have to be the only guy in the room who didn't really know what was going on, because there were plenty of cis guys who were like, I don't fucking watch football. I play video. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think I have a pretty good variety of these cis guy friends, and they feel comfortable asking the jock guy.
Right.
Who's, you know, the
That's
hottest
cool.
in the room, and like they feel comfortable asking him, and he's so respectful about like explaining it in a pretty simple, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't know, I think it's nice, and I think it's rare, and I think it just happens to be this community of friends that I have, and a ton of them are bi, and a ton
Right.
of them are like, you know,
And this stuff makes a
fluid, and-
difference.
yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah. I hope that I'm encouraging, like, also it's so tribe focused, isn't it? Because it's like the guys that I have in my mind are more tech bro guys, you know, which actually one of them came out to me the other day as bisexual. Well, he kept saying, I'm not really bisexual, but I was in love with my best friend. And I was like, that feels
wow.
bisexual.
Yeah.
You know, in a bit. Yeah. And I was like, that's beautiful, you know? And he's like,
Yeah.
I'm not embarrassed of it. And I was like, great.
Good.
You know?
Yeah.
That's awesome. But you're right. Yeah. It depends it depends sort of like the tribe. And we talked about this a little bit on the last pod, but it's trying not to reflect those, like I think about if I give empathy to, you know, some of these tech bros, and some of them are close to me, some of them aren't. It's because they feel like in that environment, that's what they need to do to be, I don't know, accepted, cool,
Yeah.
like whatever. And so the more, what I can give to that space anyway is try to be as vulnerable as I can, so that,
Yeah.
and also be like, you know, I say things like, you know, like, oh yeah, I fucked her and I didn't want to see her again. And I say things like, I don't think you mean that. You know?
You challenge them.
Yeah, like, do you mean that? You know?
Yeah.
Because I think I just don't believe like humans even feel like that.
Yeah.
Ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't, men, women, I just don't think any of us feel like that. And I think that sex is intimate and vulnerable for or can be intimate and vulnerable for every
Yeah.
gender. And so, anyway.
Listen, just for the sake of transparency, I've definitely hooked up with someone and the next day been like, I don't care to ever speak to that person
Listen,
again.
100%. That's not what I'm not saying.
Oh,
It doesn't
okay.
happen. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
saying, well, sure, but did you go to a group of guys and say it to them?
No.
You know?
I just say it to myself, and,
Totally.
and then I send a
you
nice
don't,
text
and then
or
you
something.
and then you ghost that, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Hey, I'm really, I've got a lot going on mentally
got
right
like-
now.
Fuck's sake.
I'm not saying I'm perfect.
Listen, neither am I. Fuck.
But,
well, tell me, what about that's guy friends, and we know you have a lot of trans guy friends, which is dope. What about your female friends? How has that been?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I think it's like really beautiful. A lot of my close girlfriends, just like right now, proximity wise and stuff, are also like Brit, my girlfriend's like best friends and friends. And again, we're in the same comedy community together, so we have a lot of overlap with our friendships. But even the friendships that I have with people who she's texting every single day and like are her best girlfriends, I have a separate relationship with them, which is nice. And they're like so affirming and like such great allies, and I think just like treat me kind of just like as an individual. And also like, I'm not the only trans guy these girls know. They know like
Right.
fucking 12 off the top of their head because there's so many trans mass comedians and stuff, and also it's New York City. But there are some things where like I'm wondering what's kind of like the line. So like in the fall I went to I went to a comedy festival in Vermont, and you go and you find out who else is going from New York, because you'll like split a rental car and then you'll split a hotel and stuff. And our friend, I don't think she'll mind me naming her, my really good friend Shosh, who's also Britt's best friend, and like has a boyfriend that like I'm tight with and stuff. We were like, oh, well, we'll both go, we'll split a rental car. And then we were like, and then I was thinking, I was like, I would love to save money on a hotel room. And when I was a girl, it's a no-brainer.
Right.
Like, yeah, we'll split a hotel room. So I go to Brent and I was like, would it be weird if I asked Shosh to split a hotel room with me, not a bed, but a room with two beds. And she was like, no, why would you ask that? And then I texted Shosha, I was like, hey, would it be weird if I, and she was like, no, why would it be weird? And I'm like, well, what if it was,
I understand why it might be weird.
yeah, and like, what if it was like, Ryan or, random cis guy, would that be different? And like, would her boyfriend have a problem if I was a cis guy?
Yeah.
But also it's layered with like, I'm in a committed monogamous relationship with her best friend. So there's that safety. And then there's the safety of I'm, boiled down to like, lesbian, and also she's bisexual. So it's not like it would, anyway, all these layers, but I was just like, would it be different if I was a cis guy? And does that upset me? I kind of like that I get an exception because one, I got to save money and like, I am not a threat. But I was like, I try not to like measure things of like, anytime something happens or I'm in a situation, I try not to be like, is that dysphoric or like, is that not affirming to me? I kind of just try to take things at face value of like, yeah, cool, I get to save money. I'm hanging out for a weekend with a friend. But it does it spills into it a little bit. And then the other thing is like, yeah, like these are our girlfriends where like, we'll be out drinking together. Like I have my own separate relationship with them. I always wonder like, okay, like if I ever wanted to like not that I ever really do, but like if I wanted to like be like, oh, Britt and I got in this argument, like blah, 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 blah. Should I be venting to them or like, no, because they're shared so there's those things. I don't know if that's trans guy specific because anytime you're sharing friends, but anyway, these are my thoughts. I always wonder, I don't think they see me the same way as they see their cis guy friends, but I don't think that they see me as their girlfriend. It's like this in between, which I like.
I agree. And that's what I was going to suggest to you because I feel like some of M's friends, I definitely get a different experience for sure. I mean, her friends have like laid in bed with me and like cuddled me in front of her. And at the time I remember being so shocked. Yeah. I mean, they were like a little drunk and whatever, and their boyfriends were there. Yeah. And it was like completely fine. And I just thought, but if it was one of the other guys, there's no way. Yeah. I just think there's no way. Like there's there's no way. Like everyone would be like, why are you doing that? But no one, by the way, M was a little surprised and I was a bit surprised. Because obviously from our perspective, I don't think we see it that differently. Mm-hmm. So I definitely have had that experience. It doesn't make me dysphoric, but it does make me go, huh, that is, no matter how much I'm like, I'm one of the guys, I'm not one of the guys. Yeah. From that perspective.
But I wonder how much I dislike it versus how much I like it. I like that I get to be the secret third thing.
I like it, I think. I think I like it.
Because again, I don't want to be totally passive.
I don't want my relationship to be disrespected. Or I don't want it, when you're a lesbian and it's like, girls like, I can make it, I mean, at the time I totally capitalized on this, but they're like, I can make out with you, it's not cheating. And I'd be like, great. Yeah. I'd be like, fantastic.
Yeah, lock the door.
But the thing is, it's cheating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's cheating. And like, so it does, I don't want it to invalidate like who I am or my relationship or anything. It's like, no, you can't make out with M's boyfriend because it's your friend's boyfriend. Yeah. So like you can't, Yeah. That I don't love about it. But in general, I do like, and maybe it gives a bit of, like the stuff we talked about before, maybe it gives a bit of gateway to a bit more understanding across genders. Because to your point, why shouldn't share a room with a guy friend that is in the group where there's respect and where there's like, who cares?
And they probably would. I don't want to be probably would.
Right.
I don't want to like,
totally we shouldn't.
But for me, I was just like, I would have been, I don't know. I think I would have even asked, even just like as a lesbian, of just like, because cool? That's also it's also weird. But I'm also like, she's 30 something. I'm about to be 30. I'm like, we're adult. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're adults. But that's just like a good, was an example of what I could think of like the first time where I was just like, oh, this is different now that I'm boy.
Right. And you're right about how layered it is, because also there's like, is there attraction there? Like a lot of people in our community are like, well, it's fine for you to be attracted to your friends. And I'm like, cool. But then in that scenario, then, let's not use that as an example to not make anything awkward. But in the example of like M's friend lying on me, it was also fine because I wasn't, there's no attraction there. It's
Yeah.
like whatever. But like if there was, would that be different? And
Yeah.
and should you act differently in those
Yeah.
scenarios? It's all very complex, isn't it?
It is. So I think as trans guys, it's not that we have this responsibility, but we have this opportunity to kind of be this catalyst to like maybe like challenging cis guys and like, whatever. And
In a safe way.
In a safe way, or just like, it's kind of the same way where, how people are always like, hey, it takes one guy in the group, especially if it's like the leader, to be like, hey, that wasn't cool, to kind of change the perspective of the group. And so in that kind of same vein, I had this great conversation with two of my guy friends at like the New Year's Eve pregame that we were at. And they're just like very curious. One is like a bi cis guy. The other guy is just a straight cis guy, and both very lovely people. And they were like, oh, like I had mentioned something about tea just like in passing. They're like, how are you? I was like, oh, blah blah. They like complimented my facial hair and like even said like because they complimented my facial hair, and I was like, oh yeah, like I haven't shaved in 2 weeks at the time or whatever it was. And one of the guys was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like I can't even grow that. And you know what I mean? And so I think that opens up like and then I was like, oh yeah, like this started around, and then I started talking about tea and milestones and stuff, kind of did our own little tea time there in the kitchen. And I was like, yeah, like the changes are like really interesting. I'm like getting into my body, like where I'm gaining weight is different. Like I'm gaining weight in my belly for the first time. It used to be like ass and thighs as a girl, like, and so I'm like explaining these things, and they're kind of like, yeah, like not really like saying a ton, but being like, oh, interesting. And then I think I had to like go take pictures with Britt, so I had left the conversation. And then later, granted I'm on shrooms at this time, but later one of the guys came up to me, and he was fucked up because it's New Year's, and was like, hey, I've been wondering all night if I should say this to you or not, if it's like more harm or like I don't know how you'll receive this, but blank and I were talking after you left the conversation, and we have the same exact experience. And so I just want you to, in terms of like where they're struggling to lose their weight or like whatever, or just like how their body changed maybe during their own puberty. And he was like, I didn't know if it would be affirming to tell you that like us two cis guys, we're experiencing the same thing with our bodies, or like if you don't care to hear that. And I was like, oh no, that like makes me feel good that like, although whatever I'm dealing with like is quote unquote a struggle or just like a new thing, it's cool that like cis guys are dealing with it too. So thank you so much for telling me. And then we got into this like great conversation about like sexuality and like blah blah blah. But I thought it was nice. It was funny for me to imagine like walking away for the conversation and them two turning to each other and being like, hey, you deal with that too?
Yeah.
And like,
exactly.
And then I feel like it maybe allowed them to talk about it with each other. And then it was nice that he was trying to be conscientious of like if it would make me feel a type of way, but I'm glad he said something.
That's really awesome. I love that.
Yeah, right? And
I
so it kind of ties into what you were saying, is like the more you kind of offer up, even though it's not our job to kind of always be so vulnerable all the time, like I think it's one of those things of like you could be the catalyst of vulnerability just by sharing like one little thing.
Totally.
And just like opening up a conversation to be like, yeah, like let's talk about this thing that makes us feel weird or that we're struggling with this week. So I thought that was nice.
That's really nice. And I've actually had a similar conversation around with a cis straight friend of mine that I'm close with, because also and it was around, at the time I was getting down on myself about saying that I don't even think I've said this on the podcast, but here we go. I was getting down on myself because I was like, well, I feel like the sex that I have is not very seamless, when you like I don't know, you watch a movie or something, and especially with a guy or with a cis guy, he just like gets his like penis out.
Sometimes in the movies you're also like, when did they even take the dick out?
Totally. Yeah. And I was like, there's a real seamlessness about it.
Yeah.
And at the time I was going through, and still constantly in a journey of figuring out what I really like in bed, what's not dysphoric for me, what is. And I mentioned this to one of my straight cis guys, and I was like, it just sucks because sometimes I'm like, you just get to like whip your dick out and just like put it in someone and have sex. And then he was like, listen, he was like, sex is always clunky for me personally. And he was like, and I would assume for all men, he was like, there's loads of different, he was like, okay, your specific problems maybe aren't the same problems, but he was like, but I have so many problems, and it's certainly never been that for me where I just like whip it out and get this, you know, done. And we had a good conversation about it. So I think you're right. And he said he'd never spoken to anyone about that before.
There you go.
You know, which is really beautiful.
Beautiful.
Even though it requires us to be vulnerable, I'm sort of very happy to be that.
You and I are very open people.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, you were comparing something to a movie, not even like something you saw your buddy do. I mean, not that you'd be watching it, but yeah, like it is like the standard. But I always thought that, where I'm just like, even there was Below Your Mouth is a movie, and it's like a lesbian movie. You've seen it, yes?
Yes.
And there's a scene where like I'm pretty sure the lead like non-binary androgynous person is wearing their strap like out to the bar under their pants. And I remember this scene and maybe I'm even misremembering it. They come home and they're like in this hot loft.
Sure.
And there's no breaking to go into a drawer or anything. They just pin the girl like up against the fridge and like whips out the strap, and I remember being like, what? Where's the harness? Where's the awkwardness? Yeah, when did you put that? And I'm like, you must have been wearing it out. And how are you wearing it out? Because it's hard, and it's like, and again, it's movie magic. But I remember being like, even in lesbian standards of like, fuck, it takes me like 5 minutes to like go get it. I have to get the lint off of it, wash it off, put the lube on it, get it through the fucking thing.
100%.
Yeah, so I guess we have to be conscientious of media and how it's showing us. But yeah, and then like for cis people having sex in movies, what always got me was when sex scenes where the girl is like up on like a counter or like on a bar top or something.
100%.
I'm always just like, no, that's not
it doesn't
easy
work
like that.
100%.
Again, when did you even open your and do cis guys really have sex just with their dick through the fly hole?
Listen, I'm gonna say we need to ask. I don't know the answer, but I feel like no, because it'd be uncomfortable for them. Also, in all these movie moments when they just whip their dick out and it's like, are we even taking into account 5% the fact that there's no way that woman is wet enough for this to occur?
Yeah,
and it's probably painful and chafy.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I'm just like, wow. We have to ask someone if they've ever done.
Yeah, we have to ask.
If you're a cis guy or an individual with a penis and you've done this where you just take it out through the fly hole. Does the zipper go again, like hurt your shaft?
Specifically for a like pair of Levi jeans that are like they're stiff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know.
Right in.
Right.
Call 1-800.
Call 1-800. No, it's not.
Oh, wow. Okay, the very last thing I want to ask you, because it's been on my mind, is with these guy friendships. So we have our vulnerability down. I think we're really good at our emotional intelligence. How the fuck are you saying hello to them? Because I'm in this position where it varies by person, but again, I was at this Super Bowl party and like my friend came in and he's a black guy, and every time I see him, it's a dap. It's like a full evolution dap up where it's dap with the hand and then
round the back,
bring in the chest and then round the back and stuff like that. But then I also like, there's some cis guys that like I hug hello because they initiate the hug, but then I'm like, am I some kind of F slur like going in for the hug? And when I do hug, is it the sideways hug? Because you don't want to go around their neck and you don't want to go around the waist.
Although maybe we should start hugging just around the waist. That's so cute.
But what are you doing?
I hear you though. This has been a transition in itself.
Yeah.
I feel like in my black friends, where we don't use the word dap, so it's so weird for me. But my black friends were dapping always, from lesbian all the way through to trans guy experience. But I'm having issue with my white guy friends. Okay. Also, what's really non-affirming to me is that when I see a white guy, or in my experience, I've seen a white guy one man greet another man in front of me, and dap, and then he turns to me and he like hugs, because I'm the fucking lesbian or whatever it is. You know what I mean? I don't love that.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, you're not gonna feel boobs against your chest.
Yeah. Exactly. And I'm like, why am I getting the little faggy hug? I don't know.
But I wonder if it's Maybe it's I don't know.
But then maybe we should take it as a compliment because maybe it's a more intimate way to
Yeah.
initiate connection. I don't know.
And maybe
I'm
they
trying
feel
to,
comfortable with you,
right.
but they don't feel comfortable.
Correct. I think that what I'm trying to do is go in strong with a decision. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So go in strong. Didn't Tima just laugh in my face?
So, yeah. I think so, yeah.
I'm trying to go strong with a decision. So I'll be like, hey, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I'm like, I'm coming far down the street. I'm like, let's hug this out, you know?
That's a good way to think about it. The handshake I sometimes do, especially with my comedy guy friends, because it's kind of a gag to like, for like your friend comes sometimes like do it with me. Like sometimes I'll do it as a gag and be like, sir, like, you know, and like that's kind of.
Although, don't you find this like, I mean, you're going to say this is comedians in general, but like those little moments of like comedy on top of something that's actually just intimate and really uncomfortable and vulnerable. You know what I mean? It
depends on like my closeness with this person, because sometimes I'll be like hello, like, and kind of do a gag out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it problematic for me to dap?
Oh God.
Because as a lesbian, it was always, listen, as a white person, it's always like that's a black thing to do, right? Mm-hmm. But when people are doing it to me, like, should I only ever do it when someone else is initiating it to me?
Oh God.
Imagine a white guy goes to dap me and I go, hey. And I go,
no.
Hey, actually don't do that.
Oh God, I feel so self-conscious answering this from the whole black community.
Sorry to do emotional labor.
I feel like, God, and I feel like there's differences in the UK and the US as well. I feel like in the UK, white people don't do that.
Okay.
But here they do.
Mm-hmm.
I feel. So maybe, you know, do what you feel is authentic to you. How's your dap game?
I think it's okay. It's usually been pretty good.
Great.
It depends on who, like, you know, who I'm doing it like with.
Yeah.
I usually follow the lead of whoever's initiating it.
I'm
never
right.
like going in for the
You're
dap,
never like
in a crazy way.
Yeah. I think that's right.
Yeah.
Also, you're so conscientious. I think whatever you feel in the moment is the right fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Interesting. Do you ever do a one-arm side hug?
Yeah, but maybe when I'm like uncomfortable or it's an accident, you know?
For me, I'm like, I will do that if the guy is doing, because usually it's like the awkward guy who's gonna like, who doesn't know quite, and I'll be like, but that's so weird. It's awkward.
Too weird. Did you see there was this study about men's therapy where they basically, it's too hard. Look, someone's going to say this is not what the study said, but this is what my interpretation was. It's too hard for men to be like face on vulnerable talk, right? So and men communicate best about their feelings when they're sideways on.
Oh, okay.
So like in a car journey, walking down the street, whatever. And so they were saying that therapy for men would be better as like walk and talk therapy.
Interesting. Okay.
Which you reminded me because of the side hug.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, that's so interesting.
So like when we're not looking at each other, it's easier for me to like divulge something. And I would say that for every human, because if like me and Emma are on a road trip, I feel like we end up having really deep, beautiful conversations that are less strained or something.
Yeah,
there's
and
like
something to distract you, like looking at the road. Or,
exactly.
Oh, that's so interesting.
So maybe that's where the side hug comes from.
Yeah. I get really lucky if I'm entering like a room or like a party or something and the guy's back is to me, because then I could do just like a little shoulder thing and be like, what's up?
Hey dude.
Hey dude, and then walk away. You know, like that's like a real like nice.
Yeah.
And then the knuckle touch.
I do like the knuckle touch.
At some point that was also kind of like not a white person's thing to do.
Oh really?
I think so.
Yeah, maybe.
But
I'm so used to doing that because my dad would do that with me.
Yeah.
That feels so light touch. Like not just actually, but I mean like emotionally light touch.
Oh, yeah.
You know? It's like even less than a handshake.
That's what I do for like people I'm not like, I know you, but like you're not the homie out.
But it makes some people panic because I've done it before. I'm like, hey dude, what's up? And they're like, shit, what do I do with that?
Well, because what if they do?
Yeah. Like what is this?
Like if they do like that. I don't know.
That's cute. I'm going to start doing that.
Do you have any customized handshakes with people?
Yes. With my nephew, I have one.
That's really cute. Yeah.
And I have one that I like made up, I guess, when I was in school. And then I taught it to Em. She won't do it with me often, but you just reminded me I should I should make it like a weekly thing that we do together.
Did you ever do like the dap that's like, let me come around my mic. And then you do like
what? What is
like
this?
there's like some like
what is
you
it?
like go
like,
by and you go in but like each finger and then
this feels
and then
very
you, like,
lesbian. I do not know what this is.
Again, probably shouldn't be doing it.
Okay.
But it was just like another fun way to dap. What do you call it in the UK?
I don't even know. It's just something that I've always done. I haven't really thought about.
Just like handshake, I guess.
Yeah, but like just
Interesting. Well,
here we go. Should we
also sorry, one last thing because I do think this is important.
Yeah.
European kiss.
Yeah. Do you ever do it? Yeah. I mean, I will do that.
I do that with like my guy cousins and like my dad. Like it's more like familial.
Huh. Okay.
It's like a kiss on the not like lips to cheek, but like cheek to cheek.
Yeah. Well, listen, I used to I would do that both cheeks if someone in front of me was feminine presenting.
Okay, yeah.
I would always do that.
Yeah.
I stopped doing it because I felt like maybe
both
this
cheeks,
is like
I mean.
Yeah, both cheeks. I stopped doing it because I feel like maybe since transition actually, I just feel like it's I was worried it was invading someone's space. It was like non-consensual.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm like coming in, I'm like, I'm going to touch my cheek with your cheek and you have not fucking told me that that's okay, you know? So
I do it with some girlfriends.
Yeah, so I stopped doing it unless I know someone well.
Yeah. Like this shoshu I meant, I would do like if I haven't seen her in a while, yeah, it'd be like a little.
Yeah.
She probably would give me a full kiss on the cheek though.
That's cute. Mm-hmm. Nice ball. Is
Thank
this
you.
yours? I've never seen it on you.
Oh yeah, I have it like almost every time I'm here.
The pink?
I think it's more of kind of like a red.
Yeah,
I guess it's kind of pink.
I'm kind of colorblind, so actually ignore.
No, I mean it's definitely not like a true red.
It suits you.
Britt has the same one, but it's covered in stickers, and I like to be like, yeah, that's your ADHD water ball. This is my OCD water ball. Like this is like it's like how our closets are different. Like it's such a good representation of like how different we are in that way. Where she's got like stickers, like we can't even put it in the dishwasher anymore,
right?
Because the stickers will come off.
No, I don't. I'm not a sticker guy. I like my stuff clean, like girls.
Yeah. Anywho, okay.
Boys in the news.
Boys in the news. Good boy, bad boy.
Okay. Read headlines and not articles. Good boys in the news.
I have to admit, I read my article.
I actually read mine. You know.
I know. We're evolving.
I know.
We can't set this precedent though, because next week I'm sure I won't.
I know we don't have time. I keep. You know, I don't know if people notice that we just stroke this the whole time.
I know.
It makes me feel calm. Does it make you feel calm?
Do you remember the movie Get Him to the Greek? Now that there's 2 canceled leads in that movie.
No, I've never watched it.
It's Russell Brand and Jonah Hill. Classic.
Oh, okay.
But it's like a movie about like Jonah Hill plays kind of like this like lower level guy at like a talent agency or like PR firm, and like his whole job is to go get Russell Brand, who plays just like basically himself, like get him from the UK to like a show in Vegas, and he has to basically like get him there every step of the way. And there's a scene towards the end of the middle end of the movie where I think he accidentally takes LSD or like he takes something that he's not used to, and there's like a furry wall, and it's like his comfort thing. It's just like touch the wall, like, and it just reminds me of that. Very funny movie, but yeah,
I'll check it out. But yeah, this is my comfort thing.
Yeah,
I realized that we probably spend the whole time.
Probably.
Just anyway. Okay, good boys in the news. For those that don't know, where we read out newspaper headlines and.
Sorry.
What?
Newspaper is just funny.
What would you say?
Like news, I would say news, but because newspaper, I'm thinking of us I'm thinking of us like with the physical.
What do you think news is short for?
No, I'm not criticizing you. It just made me giggle.
The Brits. Okay. Newspaper headlines, and we decide whether the subject of the headline is a good boy or a bad boy. So here's my headline. Okay, this is a British headline too, so just listen out for the British word, okay? Okay. Mosh pit nappy designed to avoid queues at gig loos sells out. And let me translate that for the Americans in the room.
Can I guess?
Go.
Nappy is diaper.
Great.
Yes. What was the second thing?
Loos.
Loos, bathroom.
Great. Okay, so mosh pit diaper designed to avoid... Oh, and queues.
Oh, line.
Great. Okay. Mosh pit. Mosh pit diaper designed to avoid lines at gig toilets sells out.
Okay.
And then underneath the headline, it says the black pleather accessory includes metal studs and chains and prevents bathroom breaks from spoiling a concert.
Wow.
And so the subject, I know that this is a little, you know, I want the subject of this to be the company, which I will tell you who that is soon, that created this. Are they a good boy or a bad boy?
Okay.
What do you think?
I'm really tempted to say bad boy.
Yeah.
I
Talk
would
to me about
say
it.
good boy if they were like, we made it for accessibility and for folks who don't easily get to the bathroom. Like, that'd be one thing. Adult, the idea... Okay, also, mosh pit, the idea that you're potentially punching people in the face and, like, tackling and getting thrown around with some shit in your nappy. Bad boy. Like, grow the fuck up and go to the loo.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so who made this?
I like that it's pleather, I guess. That's nice.
It's cute if you saw it. Well, whatever. So Liquid Death.
Yeah.
You know Liquid Death?
This is the company?
They made this.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they collabed with like an adult diaper company to create this thing. And so it was $75, $75, and they sold out.
Is it reusable?
Yeah. Oh, don't know. Is it? Don't know. Didn't get to that. I assumed so for $75. I mean, how can it not be? Right?
Yeah.
But it sold out, and immediately, which tells me that there's demand for this, which means there's a bunch of grown, let's be honest, men bopping around a mosh pit and just peeing and pooping in their own pants.
That's so...
And not for accessibility reasons, just for like, I don't want to queue up to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I don't like this. The only time I think an adult that doesn't need to be in for accessibility or like health reasons, the only time an adult should be in a diaper is if you are a neurosurgeon and you have like a 26-hour surgery.
100%. Is that a thing?
In Grey's Anatomy. Lexi Gray wears the diapers.
Can someone tell me if that
sure.
happens?
I mean, like, they're in surgery for like 20 plus hours sometimes.
Yeah, totally. Oh, you're so right. What else are they doing?
But I'm sure they could tag out. I don't know.
Huh.
But I would say, okay, Liquid Death, the company that was like, what if we put water in a can? Is like, what if we put a loo in pleather? Like, I'm gonna say bad boy.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's clearly there's a demand for it.
I know.
I think you should go to the you know what? Bad boy on the venues, they should have more stalls.
Correct.
More accessible bathrooms.
I agree with that. That's actually the issue here.
Yeah.
You know.
I really don't like this idea. I'm less bothered by the idea of men doing it than women. Because I think
with poop
is whole.
Sure, but I'm not, you know what, I didn't read it fully. I read some of it, but if it's for pee, that feels different to me too than like pooping. I assume it's not for poop.
But you're going to get a UTI.
Yeah.
If you're just sitting in your own piss. Can I tell you something? I don't even like that babies are sitting in their own piss and shit. Because when people are like, haha, full diaper, I'm like, go change it.
100%. Yeah. Also, imagine what this venue is now smelling
it probably
like.
Already smells really bad.
Sure, but like after this.
Yeah. Oof.
Crazy.
I don't like it.
And it's so, if anyone feels like Googling this because they're bored, it's so
also metal and
designed.
pleather?
Yeah, it's so designed that my next question was like, wait, are you just wearing that? As in, like, it looks like an outerwear. Do you see what I mean? It doesn't look like an under. It's like like chains and stuff on it.
That's so interesting.
I know. Anyway.
I mean, mosh pit people are hardcore, but like, imagine you get like thrown around and like your poop comes out of your nappy.
Also, I love the word nappy, you know?
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Do you have
I'm looking for your
mine?
I'm looking for your thing here.
Oh, that was it.
Oh, was it? No, that was it.
It's not that one.
Oh, it's that one? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Also, I was worried because you're using my iPad with my photos and full disclosure, like...
I don't like... Is this your nude
I didn't... It's not my nude device, but like... Wait, what? Wait, don't give the audience members an impression that I have a nude device.
Well, just like, do you take your nudes on
your iPad? Well, I did something... I don't know why I did this, maybe... But I basically videoed myself using my STP.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I just felt like doing it, you know? But it looks like a dick when, huh?
I said piss kink.
Just kidding. I guess, but it was for no one.
Yeah, I know.
No one. I mean, I just like did it, and it looks super realistic. And I was like, anyway, so
I want to see what people are seeing at the urinal.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And actually, I think I could get away with doing it, but my issue is still the same issue that we had before, which is that there is a non-zero chance that I'm peeing down my leg.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know. Anyway, continue.
Okay, my headline is, I don't know if you've seen this.
Okay.
Hims and Hers receives backlash for Super Bowl ad. I know this isn't a very descriptive headline. Did you see the Hims and Hers?
I didn't, so please tell me.
Okay.
I know the company well.
Yes. I'm going to talk shit about them.
Please.
Okay. I think overall, like, business model is cool. I think accessible telehealth medicine is great. They ran a Super Bowl ad that originally ran on YouTube, like, at the end of January, so it's not brand new, but it ran during the Super Bowl, where it's like, it starts with, like, feet on a scale and, like, a measuring
tape. Is it Ozempic?
Well, so it's like, it's all these headlines, and it's like, obesity is the number one killer, you know, number one killer in the United States, and it's like all these like really, like, it's a camera dolly going down a junk food aisle at the supermarket, and it's like all these things, and it's like, and they try to make you think that you're the problem, but it's the system's corrupt, and like all these prescription medicines that you can't afford it, and it's inaccessible, and people who get it because they're rich, and you can't get it because you need it. And you're like, the whole time, a lot of this times you watch Super Bowl commercials and you're always guessing, like, okay, who's the company? Like,
right.
What are you selling and who's the company at the end? And then it's like, Hims and Hers, weight loss medicine once a week. And so they're advertising their own non-FDA approved because they're not beholden.
Ozempic, right?
It's Ozempic. It's the same base medicine. It's like GPA-1 or whatever,
yeah.
And it's like, that's not correct, so don't quote me.
GLP, no, GLP-1,
yeah. And it's like, it's their own version of it, but because they're not FDA regulated, they didn't have any health advisories, like none of the side effect things at the end. They were just like, take our injection once a week.
And that's it.
But they used the message, the anti-obesity and fat phobic rhetoric and like system thing to sell this thing that they're contributing to it. And I remember, and everyone I was with, we were like, that was a Hims and Hers commercial, and they're selling their own version of Ozempic, but without any of the side effects or safety warnings or anything. And I was like, that's appalling. It was crazy that they did that.
That's crazy. I'm going to check. Also, obviously, but bad boy. Also, look, and I feel like I'm happy to say and won't, I am diabetic, or very close to being anyway, genetically. And so I'm on a tiny bit of GLP-1, Ozempic, from my doctor. And what's interesting to me, especially with adverts like that, is that, well, firstly, you're right. We shouldn't be using that because everything they're saying at first is valid, right? As in. Well,
you think it's going to be something that's like anti-pharmaceutical or.
Right. Yeah. Like, exactly. And also there is junk food everywhere, and people that don't have enough money to buy healthy food, and they're not,
it is a systemic issue, but then to do all of that and then be like,
totally
buy ours, and it is more accessible because it's not in, beholden to the FDA and stuff, but it's just like,
but I don't love that it's more, I almost don't love that it's more accessible in these companies, because it's like, how, for example, I say I'm on it because my doctor gives it to me, but then has given me this long list of things that it could, it's good for me in a certain dosage, by the way, which again, I feel like these private companies are just like doling it out with any sort of dose that you feel like. So, and there are risks of it, but when you're pre-diabetic or whatever, you weigh those up. But I feel like they're not actually talking about, and it's starting to go viral now with these. I saw an influencer saying that they had osteoporosis diagnosis from Ozempic, and it's starting to come out now with the amounts and stuff. But that's awful that it was on such a big stage.
Yeah,
everyone's watching the Super Bowl and everyone sees that,
and it's
awful.
There's a lot of buy-in when you think you're watching this commercial that's going to be like, fuck the industry for making me feel like I always need to lose weight and that it's my fault that I'm unhealthy or anything.
But don't worry, here's a cheap and easy way.
I know.
To be thin.
Just one telehealth call and we'll give it to you. I just thought it was really irresponsible for a company that like otherwise had a pretty decent reputation for being accessible and like, whatever they have their, I know a lot of like trans guys will use like Hims to do like the hair loss thing. I think out of all of the The only other thing that I think was more egregious about the Super Bowl was them not televising the Congo and Palestine flag that Kendrick Lamar's team had up.
I know.
I think that's the only. Other than that, I think
I didn't even see it until after, and then it was like going viral everywhere.
Fuck pussies. Fuck whoever aired it. Fox Sports, whatever.
Don't know.
Pussies for not including that part.
I have to shout it out as well because I was like tearful watching that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big Kendrick fan, but I thought it was fantastic on so many levels.
On so many different levels. I mean, the Samuel L. Jackson of it all was just so cool.
Oh my
Uncle
God.
Sam.
I know. And the American flag and it being split down the middle, and then
the after be humble, deducting one life. It went over. I think a lot of people were kind of just like in it for the gag and like weren't really like paying attention to like the messaging of it. But
this is why I love Kendrick, and he's not perfect, of course, no one is. But this is why I love him, because every piece of art, and I will call it that I watch from him, I'm like, I take things away and then I listen to it again, and then there's something else underneath it, and listen to it again, there's something else underneath it. And I just think that is what art should be, you know, in a time when like we're not, art is so surface level. He constantly goes above and beyond to like find these meanings that are so systemic and important, and sometimes they're on the nose and sometimes they're just not, and I think we need both of those things and like to really think about it. But I thought it was so good. And Serena, I saw Serena I was like, yes.
So crazy.
Yes.
2 of his exes.
I know. Also,
so look, baller of her to,
oh my God,
to agree
Serena's
to do
amazing.
it
100%
in her little tennis skirt.
I hear through the grapevine that as well that his team were like, don't do that song, like just leave the Drake thing alone. And I thought it was so, the teasing it's so funny when he's just like bang in the camera, you know.
Yeah, well, the fact that he teased it a couple times,
exactly, he's like, I'm not gonna do it, and then he's like,
we were all sitting there like,
I know,
like it was crazy. And then looking right into the camera, I got a bunch of laughs because I said right then and there, trigger warning, but I was like, Drake's gonna kill himself. I was just like, he's gonna like,
don't.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Although, you know, Drake did his own thing. I hear he had a concert at the same time and it sold out and it was like doing his thing. So like, whatever. I'm sure he's fine.
Oh my God. But it was so good.
It was so good.
I'm trying to think if there were any people were like, oh, like you didn't do swimming pools and stuff. And it's like, no, he clearly curated his set list to be part of this like revolution that he's doing. But from the very moment when he's on the like, I don't know, Cars, was it like a Camino or something, and like as soon as like the first guy comes out the back seat and starts running, I was just like, that's so cool.
It's so cool. And there were so many of them oh my God, amazing. Anyway,
and to see every single person was a black person, and not just a black person, like not just, you know, like dark-skinned black people all over the field. The 100%. Entire team was so cool to see.
100%.
Yeah,
and just repping LA.
Yeah,
throughout.
Yeah,
and Celine. Did you see?
Yes, the Celine jeans. The jeans I did think were a little silly, but also like hell yeah.
I thought they were sexy. Yeah, I thought they were good. I was like, and encourage men to wear like. Yeah. I can see now
a boot cut.
100%.
Yeah,
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good boy
Kendrick on the
good boy show. And you know, I'm so glad. A lot of people were like, oh, is he gonna bring out like Taylor Swift or like Bad Blood, because they had that one collab and she was already in the building, and I'm so glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, me too. Also, you know, SZA all day.
Yeah.
So good.
Shout out SZA and Doechii, because they're kind of besties. Like I think after both of them like coming up and everything, and it was so cool to see last week or 2 weeks ago. SZA was so proud in the crowd at the Grammys, was so proud of Doechii up there, and then like to see SZA get her own moment at the Super Bowl, and just seeing these like 2 incredibly fantastic artists like within a 2-week span get such an awesome platform was really cool too.
100%. And he was the first. I'm so glad he brought her on. Yes, right thing to do. And he was the first, my understanding, rapper to headline alone for the Super Bowl.
Well, because Eminem did it 2 years ago, but he wasn't.
But not alone, I think.
Yeah, wasn't alone, I guess, because he had Well, he always has Dr. Dre with him, right?
Yeah, he doesn't go anywhere without him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Crazy. Anyway, hims and hers. Hims, hers.
Just fucking do better, man.
Just, I don't know. You know what the worst thing is? It would have just popped and sold out. You know?
What do you mean?
The Ozempic.
Oh yeah, I'm sure people bought it
because that's what I mean. That's the worst thing is
200 million consumers saw it. Like that's how many people had eyes on the.
And the thing is, those emotional, and you know, I don't like. Anyway, we don't get into a marketing thing, but like tapping into emotions and people's real vulnerable moments, and you know, there's enough societal pressure, especially on women, of like, I must be thin and I must be this, and then on top of that, you put this marketing material on top that's so emotionally charged.
Yeah.
And then you give someone a really quick and easy fix when really we should be trying to get the price of fucking eggs down or, you know, and educating people more about what's good for their bodies and, you know? Anyway, bad boy.
Bad boy.
Okay. Tea time?
Tea time.
How are we doing for time, Tima? Okay, because we have 10 minutes, right?
We're like at an hour and 10 minutes right now.
All right.
Okay. Cool. We could wrap it up. We
Great.
have a meeting
Quick,
in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Quick tea time.
Okay.
Wait, sorry, can I stop?
Sorry. Oh, I shouldn't have spoke.
1, 2, 3, snap.
Okay, tea time. Let's talk about tea journey. I mean, look, I'm looking at you and you're a stunning boy.
Thank you.
Stunning boy. The hair.
Well, I know it's not really tea, but I did cut my hair for our visual listeners. You'll notice the mullet's gone. I don't think I've ever not had a mullet on Good Boys.
You look fantastic.
And
How does it feel?
It feels fantastic. I think what was just happening was like now that I'm getting this like neck hair and jawline hair, having the long, because my hair's very thick, I just felt very burly. Also, now that I have trap muscles and like bigger shoulders, I just felt like there was so much happening in like this region of my body, and it was, I'm very proud to have a pretty chiseled jawline, and that was just gone with the way that I was presenting myself.
Got it.
And now that this hair's gone, it's back. I feel sharp. I feel handsome. And I didn't tell Britt. For the day one listeners, you know Britt really likes the long hair, and I just went to I made an appointment. I went. I didn't even tell her I was getting my hair cut.
What was her reaction?
She loved it. She was like, I was so afraid I'd hate it, but I love it.
Great.
And I was like,
She
my
can't not
body,
love
my
it.
choice.
You look great.
Yeah. So
You look great.
I know it's not quite tea, but it is helping me feel a little, not that like the long hair was making me dysphoric, like it didn't make me feel girly or anything, but this is really helping me come into like this newness of myself. But other than that, I don't have a ton of updates. I'm getting some pretty good chest hair.
Nice.
My belly hair is like fully belly hair now.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like it. Still working with my dietitian and my trainer, hitting some nice personal records with my weightlifting and stuff. But other than that, it's kind of the same.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't have much. I think the only thing I have with the past few weeks, or maybe even the past week, I suddenly feel like I love my body. And I don't know whether that's mental or physical, because I mean, I don't think much has changed. I've put on a bit of muscle, and it's been easier to put on muscle since taking testosterone. But I sort of looked in the mirror when I was away and was like, you know, I feel great.
Good.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I just felt
all you need
feel
to do
good.
is feel love for yourself.
100%. And so I don't know if that's tea. I don't know if that even belongs in this segment, but I
think it does.
Yeah. I was like, you know, I just feel good about my body.
Was there any kind of, it was just a moment for you? You don't think there was
just
something
a moment. I guess I was traveling, so I had like little swim trunks on.
That'll do it.
That'll do it.
Nice
and I had a
bikini
little bit
moment.
of a tan too, so I always feel a bit better when I'm a bit mixed race problems, but like in the winter I'm fucking grey, and in, you know, then I change colour completely. So a little bit of that, just feeling a little bit more a little bit healthier. But I think, yeah, just like a little short moment and like being like, huh.
Yeah.
You know, I feel good.
Good job. Did you like do something nice? Did you make sure to tell yourself that in the moment, or like take a picture or something?
I took a picture, and I took M's. So like, you know, we have this isn't an ad, but you know, we have the bottom boxer and we have the trad boxer.
Yeah.
And I always wear the trad boxer. They're a little longer on the leg. They like straighten your body out a bit more, and the bottom boxer gives you a bit more curve and is a bit shorter. I took M's underwear by mistake, which is the bottom boxer, and not mine. And I put them on, and I was like, whoa. And then I was like, this is different, you know. But then I looked in the mirror, and I was like, yeah, you know, I think that's what triggered
Did
it.
it give you that little booty that you?
It gave me a little bit of a booty, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I was looking at my legs and I was like, you know what? I feel pretty good. So I took a picture of that. I'll post it. Why not? I didn't, but I went to, and then I got scared and didn't do it. But
well, that's great.
Yeah.
The only other thing I'll say, because it's kind of tea, is that like when I had gone in for like maybe like a month out from top surgery last year, which would have been, you know, around March, I have like a little bit of what they call dog ears from my scars, which is kind of just like when the scar tissue is, I don't know like the medical, but it like basically it just creates what looks like a little bit like dog ears when I'm like
it's like
flopping my arm.
a little bit of extra skin,
it's like the
or like a little
from the
bit
scar kind of.
It's like keloid.
Yeah, a little bit. And it's really common with top surgery. And at the time, my surgeon was like, just come into the office. It doesn't have to be, I'll give you local anesthetic and I'll take care of it. It's just more cosmetic. And at the time, I was like, let me just like give it a year. Like, I'm going to be working, like, let's see if it like goes away. And it hasn't. And it's not like a huge deal, but like it is pretty noticeable. So I think I'm going to try to link up with him and see if that offer's still on the table, because it seemed like it was going to be like free because it's like part of the surgery. But I don't know if that like offer expires, but I'm going to text him and see if he'll do that, because I think that'll just be like one of the last things to just like clean up my scars and be on my way.
That's interesting. You've made me think, because one of my scars is a little bit higher than the other just by the nature of like
same,
you know, and so one of my pec muscles sits above my scar.
Okay.
On one side, but not the other.
Yeah.
And the surgeon said the same thing. Was like, oh, we could just like nip it down over your thing, like it was nothing. And I was like, huh. So, and I was trying to decide whether I wanted to do that or not.
Yeah.
I wanted to give myself some time, so I'm gonna have to think about it too. But it's funny, isn't it, though? Because you start to just be accepting of whatever's there.
Exactly.
You know.
But I'm like, well, if it's free and it'll just take kind of an afternoon to do, like, why not?
100%.
But if he says like it'll be a couple hundred, I'll be like, I can live with it.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, good.
Well, thank you.
Good boy, Kylo.
Good boy, Motti.